Okay guys, so we're going to demonstrate our new mint machine. That's the most powerful stamp making machine on the planet. And as we kind of go through this process, you'll see why. You can pretty much make a stamp out of anything that you can imagine. Any design you have, anything you have in the silhouette store, anything you can take a picture of. If you can draw it by hand in the system, you can make a stamp out of it. So this little tiny machine here has the software with it. It's a standalone. You don't need to have any of our other equipment to run it. And the very first thing that happens when you pull up the Mint Studio, let's see, this is silhouette here. When you pull up the Mint Studio, it's going to show you the actual size stamp sheet that you're going to be using. The stamp sheets look like this in this package here, and I'll pull it out so you can actually see it a little bit better. The stamp kit will come with a wooden block, a sticker for the top so you can see what kind of stamp it is, and your stamp sheet. And this essentially is just a foam rubber pad that's really porous. It'll actually hold the ink, so you drip ink onto it and it'll suck right into it. Once we get the image in there and we put it through the machine, a thermal process will actually burn all of the area around it and seal it so it doesn't accept ink. So the only thing that accepts ink is the part you want to stamp on the paper. And I'll show you that process as we go through here. Right now we've got a picture of this guy here, and I'll show you how we got it there just so that you can kind of see it from start to finish. Okay, so what we'll do, we've got this, when you first open the Mint software, you'll see here that you've got a screen with all the different sizes of stamps that you can make. Now the biggest stamp that we will carry is approximately this big, and it just feeds through the machine from the back to the front, and then it goes down to about a quarter of this size. You'll have a little square that's available. And right now we're operating with a 30mm by 30mm, so we'll keep that because that's this guy right here. And I want to import an image. So let's say I go to my photos in my computer and I find a picture of, we've got this picture of this girl here that we want to try and make a stamp of. All I need to do is take the image and drag it from my photos. Try it again here. There we go. Drag it over to my Mint software. And it's a little bit bigger than the stamp pad. You can see the stamp pad's about as big enough for her eye right now. So all you really need to do is just zoom out a little bit, take that down to the right size, and we're going to try and just get her face in there so that we don't have to make it really, really small. Now we can zoom back in on it and see what we have. Okay. So we've got her here in the image, and the next thing we want to do is make it into an image that this computer can use in the Mint software. Right now it can't print it out as a photograph because you're actually thermal processing it into rubber. So we'll go over to our filters. There's a lot of different filters here that you can do. Some of them are novelty, they're kind of fun to play with. The standard here just kind of gives you a basic idea of what it would look like as a stamp. You can adjust your threshold and try and pick up some of the details or lose some of the details. Some photographs work better with the realistic mode, which is like a stipple effect, so that you can kind of see more of the detail. You can still lighten it and darken it. I think I'll make it just a little bit darker than it was recommending because I like seeing some of the detail. Now that we've got it where we want it, all we've got to do is take this image and run it to our Mint. So we click the Mint emblem up on the top. You'll notice it reverses the image automatically. You don't have to worry about reversing it. It will come out exactly the way you want when you stamp it on the paper. That's especially useful if you're using text and font, because if you print a whole stamp and find out you made all the words backwards, it's going to be really frustrating. So it'll do that for you. You notice here it says my Mint's ready. It's all turned on. It's plugged in. And all I have to do is hit Start Mint. It'll tell me what kind of pad I need. It says I need a 30 by 30 stamp, which just happens to be the one we've got here. And once you've got the stamp, it'll read it with this little piece here. That's what actually tells it what size stamp it's got in it. So you put it in the slot in the back, it'll grab hold of it and run it through the machine. And it usually takes about 20 seconds or so. You'll start to see that image come out in the front. Now you could put that image even smaller and put your own text. Any font that you've got on your computer you can put in there. Literally, the sky is the limit. You can make a stamp out of anything you can think of now. Okay, so we've got our card. You can see the negative image there. The young girl. Now what we want to do is we want to get our block We'll take this cap off. That'll be the cap that will protect the stamp later on. And we pull this sticker pad off, so we've got our adhesive exposed there. And we'll crack this open. Pull this rubber off. I like keeping the plastic on there just to protect it for a minute while I work with it. And we'll just adhere it to the block. Once it's on the block, I'll press it down just to kind of make sure it's seated, and then I can take that plastic off. So you can see that image there. Once you've got that there, what you need to do is add the ink. The nice thing is these are porous, so it actually sucks the ink into the stamp. And what that means is you can actually go in and make multiple color stamps, like some of these that you see before you. They'll have different images. You know, you can put spots on things or make somebody different color than the text, because you can choose where the ink goes. For this stamp, I'll just use this black. And you drip it onto the stamp. And it can take, I mean, depending on how long you want to let it sit and soak the ink in, you can put a lot of ink into the stamp. But it will suck it into that image, and then you can actually stamp about 50 times for every inking before it starts to get light and you'll have to re-ink it. If you decide, hey, I'd like it to be pink or purple next time, then just put the new ink over the top and it will actually change the color of the stamp. So even after the stamp is made, you're not limited to only certain things. But you can see that ink there. It's going to be a second while it soaks in. Okay, so now as you can see the image here, we've got the ink soaked into the pad. There is some ink on the outer edges on the part that's now shiny that's not accepting ink. You're going to notice as we stamp, the first couple of stamps it's going to be messy because it's getting rid of that excess ink. But we'll find ourselves a paper that we can use for our pre-stamping, and we'll stamp it. Notice the mess. As you stamp through the process, you'll notice it's going to start cleaning up. As you can see, the image starts to come through. You can see like detail in her eyes. And it looks, and then you can do multiple color with it, which is what makes it more fun. But you can see how it comes through. It shows all the detail, or you can do things with just really vivid color. And the detail is really crisp. Usually if you have something like, we've done a couple where there's been cats or, you know, lions, and you can see all the fur and everything's really pretty. But it is a lot of fun. You can literally take anything that you can take a picture of and make a stamp out of it.